Just confirming everything that's in there staying. Yes, everything in there staying. Yes. Family and friends, as we prepare for the service, I'd like to make several announcements, if I may. If you are a driver to the cars, we do ask during procession you have your headlights and four-way flashers on. If you're a pallbearer, after family is dismissed from the back row forward, friends and family, pallbearers can get families settled in the cars, and then we're going to ask pallbearers to gather and wait for us in the front hallway. If you have a cell phone, please have it in silent mode during worship time. At this time, most of it's going to be memories and thoughts from family and friends, but I want to open it up, if I may, dealing with a poem that's called Memories. And then maybe that'll just kind of trigger some other memories that are out there that you would like to share. At the rising sun and in its going down, we remember her. At the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember her. At the opening of the buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember her. At the blueness of the skies and in the warmth of summer, we remember Debbie. At the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember her. At the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember her. As long as we live, Debbie too will live, for she is now a part of us as we remember her. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember her. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember her. When we have decisions that are difficult to make, we remember her. When we have joy we crave to share, we remember her. When we have achievements that are based on hers, we remember her. For as long as we live, Debbie too will live, for she is now a part of us as we remember her. I'm just going to open it up to family and friends.
For those of you that don't know me, I am Lorraine Trimmer. I am Debbie's sister-in-law. I met Debbie 28 years ago when I started dating her brother, Larry. On the day of our first date, Larry had been staying at Deb and Joe's. That evening, as Larry was about to come pick me up for the very first time, Deb said to him, "You need to take her something," and hand it to her at the door. So they didn't have anything. So she quickly grabbed an umbrella that she had laying around the house and handed it to him and said, "Here." And he walked out the door. Larry did what Deb told him and handed me the umbrella. Meanwhile, it was mid-January and snowing. He said, "My sister said I should bring this something for you." So we both started laughing and staring at the umbrella. I'm thinking, she couldn't suggest flowers or candy? Nope. That would have been too normal. I couldn't wait to meet this special sister, giving him this great advice. It turns out that she was very special in more ways than one. Deb was an amazing person, inside and out. She was a loving and caring person who always wanted to help others, whether it was in her career or her family or a stranger on the street. Deb had an amazing sense of humor, sometimes a bit sarcastic, but that's what made her so very funny. She had an infectious laugh that could get a whole room roaring. I cherish that laugh and will miss hearing it in person, but it will always be in my head and in my heart. Deb was very special to me and always treated me like a sister and a friend. I couldn't begin to tell you how much that means to me. So that special sister of Larry's with the funky umbrella became one of the most special people in my life. You will be forever in my heart, Deb. I love you. And if you could do me a favor, give your special brother a kiss for me. Thank you.
Mine's short. Deb would appreciate that. I met Deb when she came to our house on a campaign to organize my shop. Little did I know the journey we would take or the cherished friendship that would come of it. She worked tirelessly and was one of the most dedicated people I will ever know. When I remember Deb, I think of her smile, her laughter, her love of family and friends, her determination and stubbornness, but mostly her beautiful heart. Although in the physical grew weak, was one of the strongest and most spiritual hearts I knew. Be at peace, my dear friend. You will be missed. I love you.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. My name is Lynn. If you don't know me, I'm Debbie's sister. Debbie was one of 6 kids and the smallest of us all. However, if you knew her at all, you know that she was not small at heart at all. She was the fiercest trimmer probably of all of us. And that's saying a lot because we're all bulldogs in this family. So I just wanted to let you know that there is one thing that Debbie had done. She had a series of health issues over the years, and she always had the best sense of humor. So I wanted to give you an example of that. I have a list that I'd like to read to you about Debbie's things that she is grateful for. So if I could get my iPad on, bear with me a second here. I'd like to read that to you and tell me if you agree with her sense of humor. Okay, things Debbie is thankful for. Having heart failure as a reason not to shovel snow, run sweeper, or exercise. Dying twice and is able to talk about it. Having a double adrenal gland failure, and the only extra thing growing is facial hair. Having psoriasis only on her ears, elbows, butt, and knees. Extremely pleased to have 7 natural teeth in her mouth. Overweight by 20 pounds, so when the last 7 teeth are pulled, she will not starve. After 40 years of smoking, she is able to smoke 3 packs a day. Only lost 75% breathing capability because of smoking. Only has to work 80 hours a week to get her job done. Being dyslexic, she never wastes time reading any books. Even with dyslexia, she can spell almost all words with 4 letters or less. Glad for the excuse of having an obsessive compulsive disorder for why she drinks coffee and pop at the same time. Having a wonderful, pleasant personality that enables her to have one friend. Thankful for a dog that eats all her furniture so she will not have to haul it away. Grateful for another dog that consistently tells her what to do and when to do it. Delighted to have 20/60 vision and cannot see how old Joe and she got. Really glad to have a perpetual diarrhea because she will never get hemorrhoids. Happy to have attention deficit disorder so she does not dwell on everything listed above. Debbie was my best friend. I'm going to miss her. And I love you, Debbie. Rest in peace.
Hello, my name is Juanita Gregory. I am Joe and Deb's neighbor. I live exact across the street. I always go check on them and see how they're doing. I've been knowing Joe and Debbie for 16 years. They watch my children grow up. This is my daughter, my oldest daughter. This is Deb's favorite. Oh, she just loves her. That's my youngest daughter back there. Her name is Jayana. I have two sons. Of course, you know, men, boys, they're older, but they couldn't come. They don't like to do funerals. And my father, Joe and Deb, my father is the one who did the parking, the little, the driveway for them. My father did that. Joe and Deb are family to us. We love them. Wasn't nothing they wouldn't do to help me or my children or anything we needed or whatever it was. Deb had the biggest heart. We was so close because we both were short, but we like feisty people. It's hard. They actually adopted my dog, Cycle, the pit bull that they had that passed away. We were going to get rid of him because we couldn't, with timing and work and everything, we couldn't take care of him. And at first, Deb and Joe didn't like, oh, he's so vicious. He's going to bite the kids. They were so worried about him biting the kids. I'm like, no, he's a good dog. We don't teach him to be vicious. So when we was going to have to give him away because we couldn't keep him, they opt out to keep him for us. They said, oh, we'll help you take care of him and everything. And they did that up until the time he had left from here. My family and I will forever be grateful for Deb and Joe. We love them. You are our family. We love Deb. And we're going to definitely miss her. We are. And I have this flower made personally for her. It says neighbor. I would like this to go with her, if that's okay. You want something you want to say?
Yeah. Well, I'm the naggy one. I always ask Deb for everything. She's like a mom. I mean, I knew that, they were going to go one day because they were getting old, but didn't know it was going to be that soon. But she took care of me when my mom didn't have anything. She bought me things. I still got my sewing machine that she got me. I still got my homecoming dress that she bought me. It's just going to be hard because I just had asked about them. I asked about them all the time, But I feel like I should have come and visit myself. I just got older and moved on from the area. But I will always miss Deb and love Deb. And I'm thankful for everything she did for me when I didn't have it. I would do little things like clean the house. They would make me clean the house just to get me something like, if you clean the house, I'll buy you this. If you clean the house, I'll get you that. And nothing ever needed cleaning. I just did the best thing. It was already always clean. I'll be like, okay, fine. But I really I'm really not ready for this at all. But I appreciate you guys. I think I remember I don't know if Joe's family here. I remember some of you guys when you came over when I was younger. I don't know which ones it was. Is it a daughter or if it's a son-in-law or something of a daughter? I don't know. I remember some of you guys, but I appreciate you guys, sister, a lot. She did a lot for me. Thank you.
You shit. My name is Andrew Dinkelacker, and I came up from Pittsburgh, so I had a lot to think about and reminisce about, and it's hard to put it all in one package. And the fact that Deb's characteristic of being so small physically, she had no boundaries when it came to her own virtues of being generous and being kind or being challenging of other people or wanting to fight for the good cause. She certainly punched well above her weight class. I first met her when I was hired into the union, United Electrical Workers, and I got to know her and briefly, and that started a long friendship for over 20 years. And I can say that I was a part of several of her previous deaths. There was one in which we're sitting at bargaining in Ohio, and we're across the table from the lawyers, and we're at a point where we're arguing over the word and we were befuddled. I'm looking at her. I was very new at the job, but she was not, so I looked up to her in terms of her experience, and she's looking back at me going, I don't know what to do with that. I've never heard of that before. In terms of the lawyer arguing whether we should have the word and in the sentence in the contract. We proceeded to go home, and that's when she had one of her first, I don't know if it was a heart attack or it was heart failure, but she ended up going to the hospital after that, and she fought back every time on that. And what I remember about this is that she didn't allow the current circumstances to limit her and her ability to share her sense of humor, her mindfulness of wanting to help others and making sure other people helped themselves. She was always a big believer in making sure that if the opportunity presents itself to help somebody grow and become better, become more of a person that they ought to be, that she would encourage that. And she always figured out a path to do that. And that's such a talent. And I've really respected her so much that when I moved from Ohio, after working for the union for a couple of years, I relocated to Boston, and I went through, a divorce. I was married and got divorced while I was in Boston, and I made the decision that I wanted to still work for the union just a little while longer before I decide what I'm going to do next. But I couldn't stay in Boston, so I decided to move back to Erie. I wasn't living in Erie, but I wanted to move to Erie so I could work with Deb. That's how much I was impressed by her capacity to teach me, and her kindness and her kinship. And, I was always impressed with her capacity to make you do something beyond what you thought you could do. And all the while laughing about it and making you feel like you could do it without doubting yourself. And to me, that's one of the greatest gifts that I hope is a legacy for all of us, to remember those aspects of everything that was said before and to carry that, because I've had many late night discussions with her over White Russians and we would talk about life and everything, and she'd always say, well, Andrew, I've been dead before. I know what it's like after. And she'd say, and I'd say, what? And she'd say, well, it's just dark. It doesn't do anything. It's just dark. And I argued with her about that. I said, well, how do you, that might have just been a moment. Who knows? But she was fierce in terms of whenever she took up a position, that was the stubbornness side of her. But I have to say, I'm going to get the last hurrah on this one and say that I think you're really wrong on that just being dark, because we're all remembering her, and I don't think any of us are gonna have a rough time trying to forget her. And the fact that she had such an impression on us will live on, and that is not darkness. That's a lot of light going on around the world that I hope we all could live up to. So I said I was going to do this because she promised me she was going to do it at my funeral. That I said we were going to say we're going to have a moment of silence so that she can give out one last flatulent blast from her ass. So if we can have a moment of silence and see if